like eating together with the band, I found is like super important, you know. It's not just about like getting on stage and making music together, but you have to have these kind of experiences.
The Fred Minnick Show is brought to you by 291 Colorado Whiskey and by Michter's, American Whiskeys.
I will never forget my introduction to Matisyahu. The year was 2007. I was soon to be married, and I was trying to figure out my life, post-Iraq. I remember a lot of random things from this year, including this one particular moment. Jimmy Kimmel looked into the camera and said, "Our next guest is the most popular Jewish rapper since MC Hammer." I dropped whatever I was doing in the moment, and I chuckled. And I just sat on the couch and I waited for whatever Kimmel was about to say next, which was, "From Brooklyn, New York, welcome the Hasidic hip-hop reggae of Matisyahu." And that was my introduction to Matisyahu. I was a fan immediately after. What my ears heard and my eyes saw forever burned a memory into my brain. Matisyahu broke new ground for the genre now known as Jewish hip-hop. Today on the Fred Minnick Show, we celebrate Matisyahu's latest album, named Matisyahu, which in my opinion breaks away from his traditional style. And we don't sip whiskey this time, no. We drink coffee. In fact, you may recall this coffee from a previous episode. I have become such a fan of Nguyen Coffee that I brought it with me into the tasting room, and you're going to see it in a few other episodes as well. If you'd like to join us for this little coffee taste-off, you can go to nguyencoffeesupply.com. That's Nguyen coffeesupply.com. Enter Fred Minnick 10 for checkout. You'll get 10% off. And there's also a shareable link inside the description of the podcast. But for the most part, this episode is just a couple of friends drinking coffee, learning about one another, and really celebrating one of the greatest artists of our generation, especially for his genre, which he's opened so many doors for. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy this interview with Matisyahu. And joining the Fred Minnick Show, an iconic musician who's changed the game of reggae, Matisyahu. Good to see you, sir. How are you?
Good to see you. Thank you so much for having me.
I have to tell you, I listened to your latest album named after yourself, Matisyahu, and it is it's very different than your previous works. And was that intended? Did you come about this album a little differently?
Kind of like my intention with every album is to try to do something different. Mm-hmm. I never really trying to kind of create something similar or too similar to the last record that I made. And with this one, basically same situation, and kind of happened in a pretty organic way. But as we started recording, it became pretty clear that this was different. But as well, it was what I was looking for, for the new album.
So I loved every song, but there was one that really just pulled on me, no pun intended, and that was Tugboat. That was my favorite song from the album. What was your inspiration for Tugboat?
Well, I guess fatherhood and just the feeling that you're sort of like bringing everyone along with you and kind of like pulling this family, through whatever it is that we're going through. You know what I mean? And I also lived on the river, Hudson River, in New York, and I was watching a lot of tugboats, and I became pretty fascinated by them. So, yeah.
Yeah, they're on there a lot, going back and forth. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember reading in the materials that this album's almost like a memoir for you in like this of the last few years, and I thought, as someone who's written memoirs, I found that a very fascinating description.
Oh, thanks. I mean, yeah, I think with every album, especially when you look back on it, it's sort of it feels like it represents a period of time of my life. And certainly with this one, the last 5 years has been like a clear amount of time, you know?
Yeah, and you're obviously you often get a lot in all your interviews. I see, you know, people bringing up religion and talking to you about your faith, and I always find that, you know, fascinating. I'm not a religious person, but I am very much somebody who respects, you know, someone who can keep to a faith, especially in today's world. And I just got to say, the way that you handle yourself in interviews when people talk to you about it, I mean, it's really, I mean, I look up to you with how you keep yourself, and, you know, when people ask you questions constantly about that, I think the way you hold yourself and your composure is always fascinating. It's always top notch in my book.
Oh, thanks so much. I like the way that you describe yourself as not being religious, but having like a deep respect for people that hold to a faith, because that is definitely a nice way to look at it. It is not easy to do that. So it's cool that you see that.
Yeah, and you know, the thing is we have so many arguments about people's religions, and there's not always a lot of respect, you know, for the other person, and you see that you carry that respect, and I just think we need more of that kind of leadership in the world. So kudos to you. Normally at this point when in the show, when I say something like that, I would normally pick up a glass of whiskey and toast you. Well, we're not drinking whiskey today. But I was curious, are you a whiskey fan?
Yeah, well, you know, I do like whiskey a little bit, but I don't know that much about it, to be honest with you. You know, it was more vodka in the Russian circles that I was sort of in the religious community. But I definitely like it and enjoy it, but I have to be a little careful with it as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, I understand that. As I'm surrounded by whiskey, you know, it's what I do. I taste it for a living. That's my talent.
I saw that and I was like, he must be a really strong man.
Yeah. or I just take little bitty taste, right?
That's one
So before we get into what we're going to do is we both have coffee sent to us from the Nguyen Coffee Company, and this is a Vietnamese American owned coffee company. Sarah Nguyen, who had been on my show before. I'm just a big fan of this coffee, and her and listeners, you can go to nguyencoffeesupply.com and enter discount code FredMinnick10. That's FredMinnick10 to get to taste what we are tasting now for a discount. But what we're going to do is we are going to nose. We're going to nose these three different products. We've got Loyalty. We've got True Grit, and we have Moxy. And these are, you know, Moxy is a 100% Arabica. Loyalty is a Robusta and Arabica. And True Grit is 100% Peaberry Robusta. And I'm a huge coffee drinker, but I've never done what we're about to do. We are going to do a single cup, and like, just, you can see if you're watching this at home, there's like these little rings here, and we're going to pour hot water over that, and this is my cup. Just gonna go like that. Just gonna put hot water over it, so it's kind of like a tiny, almost like a tiny French press, you know, for a single serve. But it's called a fin. So I'm really excited to try that. We'll see how that goes. I might screw it up. But one thing I wanted to ask you, I've noticed that you know, there's always a lot of fascination with your name, Matisyahu, and I've seen some interviews, you know, how you got your name. But I've noticed here lately you're referred to as Modest a lot. Are you moving toward a name change?
No. Modest is like short. It's like Matthew and Matt.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what like all friends and people have been calling me Matis.
Awesome. Well, are you ready to start smelling? Do you like smelling things? Are you someone who like seeks out flowers or fruits? Do you smell
I do.
before you taste?
I do. I've always been affected by smell a lot. I like the tasting and the smelling. And I'll give you a little thing from the Torah. It says that when the Messiah comes, he will smell and he will know, is the translation of it. And it's spoken about that. It says that smelling is the deepest of all the senses, because it's locked to memory in a way other senses aren't.
That's absolutely true. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know with certain scents, like sage, for example. I spent some time as a teenager in Eastern Oregon in the high desert, and it was during the springtime when the sage was just like so intense. And to this day, when I smell it, it brings me like right back to that moment. So yeah, I'm a fan of the scent.
Is there so that's a positive smell? Do you have a negative experience that you can relate to a smell, and you're like, oh, you smell that, and you're like, you just start walking away because it takes you back to a not so good moment?
It's funny. There was once a time backstage. I won't tell that story.
It's okay.
But no, really. I'm trying to think of one, like a negative smell. Like the only thing I can think of that's coming to my mind right now is when I got COVID, just this past American. I managed to not get it and then get it, the American version. And to me, everyone was speaking about the loss of smell, but to me, it was like not a loss of smell. It was like a very distinct smell, very harsh, kind of almost burnt smell. And I noticed it. I had a hamburger. And it was the first thing that I noticed was like, what is that horrible smell? And then I noticed I smelled it everywhere. I started opening up the coffee and, doing all kinds of stuff to try to smell. And instead of no smell, it was that. And the smell reminded me of something. I know I've smelled it before. That's the weird thing. It wasn't like it's the first time I've had COVID, but I had smelled that smell before as a child. And I don't know from where, though. But I remember it was a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, it took me back somewhere, but I can't
Wow.
remember.
I mean, you might have had like an early strain of that at some point.
Who knows?
Yeah, now that we're going into smelling some coffee, smelling coffee can be. It's real easy to just say it smells like coffee. So what we're gonna do here, I'm gonna apply some whiskey smelling techniques here, and see if we can pick up some distinction between the two. Let's go ahead and start with the loyalty. So just kind of get your nose in there, kind of go back and forth. Our nostrils they both work very differently. One will be more susceptible to bitters, and one will be more susceptible to sweets. And if you kind of like isolate them, you can tell how different they work.
Interesting. Yeah, it's true. I never thought of that. I never noticed that before.
Now this one makes me want to have breakfast. Like this is just making me feel like I need to have breakfast right now.
What would you have with it?
Honestly, just a real nice pancake, some maple syrup, real unhealthy kind of breakfast. It's where this is going with me.
It's very breakfasty. I hear what you're saying.
What do you like to chow down on for breakfast?
For breakfast, it's funny. I'm not really much of an eater in the morning anymore. I used to. Breakfast was my favorite meal, and my favorite dishes were breakfasts. But now I will make eggs, for the kids and stuff. I'll eat them. My wife made a really great breakfast today. She made like an egg with pesto and cheddar cheese,
Oh,
like over with
I,
sourdough toast and
I mean,
butter.
sign me up for pesto all day long. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah, amazing.
All right, so loyalty, which is this is the, you know, that's true. Get the wrong one. This is a blend of Robusta and Arabica, and again, this is coming from Vietnam, and Vietnam is makes a lot of coffee beans in the world, but they don't always get the credit like say South America or Africa coffee beans do. And Nguyen Coffee is a really strong company that's trying to change that. So
Nice.
very, very good people. So we go to True Grit now. Woo! That's completely different.
Different thing.
Oh boy, yeah. I mean this is a classic example of how coffee just is complex, can be complex, and you can really tell from one thing to another. And this is 100% Peaberry Robusta.
Yeah, this doesn't remind me of breakfast so much.
No, this is. I mean, unless you're gonna have steak and eggs,
Yeah.
something big. Whew.
Powerful.
I feel like I just woke up. Like the cobwebs just lifted a little bit. All right, so what do you think of this one? I do. There's like a kind of a zesty aroma here for me, like a citrusy, zesty kind of aroma.
Something maybe a little spicy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's a little less appealing to me than the first one, than the loyalty. Because that one smell in it is very, very distinct, and it feels like very, very something like it's gonna be like a really bold cup is what it feels like.
It does feel like it's gonna be a bold cup, and sometimes that's a good thing,
Yeah, totally.
And then we
I'm
got
a fan typically of like more of an Ethiopian or something a little bit that's almost closer to tea. You know what I mean? So
loyalty is the winner in the clubhouse for you right now.
so far, but I like the color of this, so I'm thinking good things.
Moxy's this is a single origin Arabica, so 100%, and so Arabica was also in loyalty, so maybe we'll see here. Oh man, that smells amazing.
I love that one. It's stronger than the loyalty, no question. I would say the scent.
Yeah, but it's stronger yet not overpowering.
Yeah, exactly. That's really nice.
I think we have our winner.
Yeah, I would go with this one as our choice.
So, all right. So let's get this together here, or I'm going to try to get this together. I'm going to pour my little contraption here. Hopefully, I don't spill anything on my computer.
You just put your coffee in? Is that what you did there?
Yeah, I put the coffee in the cup, and then this is.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Since you do this kind of thing, I don't know not the coffee, but when they say tablespoon, how heaping of a tablespoon do you think we're talking about? Something like that?
Yeah, that'll do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now.
Okay. That's that there. You got your water going?
Yeah, I got my... Hold on here. I did it backwards. So fill that up there.
Let it flour, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna let it sit for a little bit.
And then that will just kind of slowly go down there. Well, that ain't working out.
What
I just caused a big mess on my chair here. Oops.
No problem.
Well, I will eventually get the coffee where it's working, but fortunately, no one can see the mess I just made. It's not going up against any electrical equipment though, so that's good.
I got it happening here. I like this little device. I've never used Vietnamese press like this. It's the first time.
Yeah, it's very clean.
I love making 1 cup of coffee.
Oh, it smells amazing. Yeah, sometimes when you make a full pot of coffee, you get you have this feeling you don't want to waste it, so you drink too much of it.
Yeah.
But a single cup, you make that perfect single cup of coffee. I mean, it can get you through the morning instead of having to drink 4 or 5.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you use a Keurig, one of those single?
I use now a Nespresso machine, and I do the cappuccinos. But I used to use I used to use the Chemex, and that's what I'm going to use for the rest of this coffee that I have here that you guys sent. So I'm going to try to get back into the Chemex because that was a really nice cup of coffee. It really made you. It's funny because I always took milk and sugar in my coffee.
Mm-hmm.
When I started drinking the Chemex, I think I ran out of milk one day, and I just took a sip of it, and I was like, that's a completely different experience. And I started drinking it without the milk and sugar because you really taste all those flavors and stuff.
You can definitely taste more. Milk and sugar can really mask the coffee, obviously.
I guess that's the point of it.
Yeah.
Where you're drinking crappy coffee, you really want to mask it.
That's right.
You just want. There we go. Are you good to go? Are you poured? All right. I'm gonna take. Shucks.
I think you're gonna like this. I think it's gonna. Your description of you like things that are a little bit more like tea.
Yeah.
And that's a really. I'm not gonna say that this is like tea. But I feel like it is definitely in that world.
This is perfect. This is the exact cup of coffee that I like. Just like this. Perfect. I can't stop sipping it.
It's fantastic.
Oh, wow.
And it's a good afternoon cup of coffee,
Yeah.
It's not. I like breakfast coffees to go with food. I like the afternoon coffee to be quite a bit more palatable, in the spice area of my palate. And this has got some nice spices to it. I can feel it really tingling in the back of my palate, which is very nice. And this is great coffee.
Yeah, it seems to be low with the acid. It doesn't leave that kind of acidity too much.
Yeah,
and it doesn't leave a weird taste in my mouth at all. And it's kind of earthy, no? A little bit earthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it reminds me like of like chewing on like some sorghum, or it's not, it's not sweet, but it has like this kind of like grassy,
Mm.
kind of grassy note to it. This is great. I mean, I drink this coffee every day.
Yeah, me too. I might start now.
Yeah, this may be pushing a few other products out the door. And again, it's Nguyen Coffee Company, Nguyen Coffee Supply, and I met the owner and had her on the show, and she just was this like bundle of energy and just so much enthusiasm and pride for what she does, and she's changing the coffee industry, getting people to think about Vietnamese coffee, which I got to be honest with you, until I met her, I didn't really think of Vietnam for its coffee.
Yeah, totally.
So
Nice work.
with this new album, will you be going out on tour with it here
Yeah.
pretty soon?
Yeah, I think we're gonna do some touring in the spring, late summer, and fall here.
Okay.
We'll be touring with the album for sure.
Or do you normally like to do festivals, or do you like to tour by yourself in venues, or how do you normally like to promote an album like this?
Well, you want to promote the album as big as possible. It's a promotion you're promoting, so obviously, like big shows and festivals are the best way to do that, I think. But they're fun. I like big energy shows. It still brings out that kind of like little thing in me from when I first started, where you're around everyone else is performing. So you want to set yourself apart, a little competitive kind of drive, which is nice. And you get to meet all other bands, other artists and peers and stuff. So the festivals are always nice. And then, small shows are really nice too. I play a lot of really intimate shows at like wineries, like the City Winery. We did a big run. And those are great too. It's nice when everyone's sitting down, and it allows you kind of the ability to sort of improvise and take the music in different places when you're not locked into like a 40-minute set where you're trying to control that 50,000 people,
Yeah, and and this album was my first introduction to Salt Cathedral, and seeing what you you worked with them on this, and they were featured on a couple songs, Chameleon being one of them, and I was really excited to read and learn about them. This album was my first introduction to them. What were they like to work with?
Oh, they were great. I worked with them in 2016 on two singles that we did, one for their EP and one for mine. I had a great experience there. And then as we were starting to get ready to really do some heavy recording, and COVID hit, all the sessions got canceled. And so I was trying to figure out how I could really like continue, or how I could write, continue to keep writing and whatnot. So I reached out to them, and they came to my house. We, spent a lot of time together the entire summer of 2020. And it was fun. It's like 3 people in a room. I've worked before in combinations where you have like a full band, where there's a lot of people, or where it's one-on-one, like just you and the producer. But working with 3 people was really interesting, because each of us kind of come to the table with a different skill set. And it was really fun to do. The process was very different from every process, but they're always different.
Will they tour with you, since they are featured on a couple of them?
That's a good question. They're featured, and then her voice is certainly like laced throughout the entire record and in the background vocals. And they produced the entire record, so it's definitely something that we've thought about and would love to do, and have them involved in that.
That's awesome. So would you get like I can see you getting like a rock show. Obviously you would fall into the reggae side, reggae festivals, but like a hip hop show, I could see booking you. But I could see like a fun like hard rock show booking you as well. Like what's the norm for the festivals that book you in terms of the lineups?
The normal festivals, I'm getting booked in reggae festivals for the most part, and I get booked in other events and things like, marathons or like, different types of that are happening in cities and that kind of thing. Shows like in parks or that type of thing. But the reggae festivals just seems to be the main spot where I found my place.
And do you like when you burst on the scene, more than 2006 around that time frame? Everybody was like, "Whoa, this guy's not who we think of for reggae." I mean, now you're kind of a household name in the reggae circles. Has that kind of that like surprise for people after they see you? Has that kind of went away a little bit, or is it still there?
The surprise that people have that I do reggae?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if for someone who doesn't know me, like, for example, if I'm taking, like, an Uber, and they're like, where are you going? And I'm like, I'm performing, I'm a singer. What do you sing? I guess, reggae is kind of what I'm most classified under usually. Although, I don't know if this new record is going to be classified as reggae. I think it will pop up probably under alternative, maybe. We'll see where it lands. But, and then people are always just like, wait, what? You do reggae? Yeah, I don't know how to even try to explain it or even spell my name for you. So let's just go to the airport.
Yeah. It's like, you should say, like, I'm Matisyahu. Google me. Airport, please.
And Matis who?
Well, look, I'm very excited about your new album. Drops March 25th. There's already, when this airs, it will be out. But right now it's there's already a couple songs available, and I'm already seeing people talk about it in some of my groups. So that's very exciting for me to see, and I hope you have another number one on your hands.
Thanks.
And I believe in it. And again, my favorite song in this is Tugboat. I don't know where that's gonna, where it'll go. But Lonely Day is a great song. Chameleon's amazing. But I really do think you have a number one hit in there again, man.
Hey, thanks so much. I was at the barbershop the other day, and so I just put on the record just to see reactions. And one of the guys walked in, and it was Tugboat. And then when I left, he was like, "What was that first song? Which one was that?" So I was like, "Tugboat." It's a fun one to say too. Like, it's nice. It's a cool theme. There haven't been too many songs written about tugboats, I don't think. So
no, I mean, we should market this to the Tugboat Association. Find those captains that you saw on the Hudson.
You inspired Matisyahu. Matisyahu?
No way. They would totally start playing your music and just like screaming it out all over the river. That'd be awesome. Maybe they would let you play on a tugboat. That's it.
That's how you just thought of the idea for the video for sure.
So you're singing on the tugboat on the Hudson. Boom. That's it. I love it.
Awesome.
Well, I look forward to meeting you in person, and hopefully next time, we can have a little bit of whiskey, if you can sip that day. And but this coffee was pretty good. This was fun. First time I'd done this.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. Thanks for doing something like a little outside of the norms for me.
Hey, listen, honestly, anything for you. I'm a big fan, and sometimes I interview people that I'm a little nervous interviewing because I'm a fan of music, and I've really enjoyed watching you rise, and then this is my favorite album that you've done, and I'm honored that I have had a crack to listen at it before it's public.
Oh wow, thank you so much, man.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
All right, so we were kind of wrapping up there. We're like, well, you know what? Let's give this loyalty a shot. Let's taste that.
Okay, cool.
So I've started a process in a much cleaner version this time. I didn't spill water everywhere. I don't get coffee grounds slung, and I definitely did make a mess though with that previous one. I mean, I'm lucky I didn't spill this all over the computer.
Oh yeah. Where are you based out of?
I'm in Louisville.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we have a couple festivals here that you'd be really good on. We have Forecastle. I think you'd be good on that. And then I'm a part of a festival called Bourbon and Beyond. You'd be good on that one as well, I think. But reggae. People. I feel like people don't respect reggae like they should, or even like that. Just like that sound.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's possible. I think was there a place called Headliners in Louisville?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I played there a bunch of times. Let's see. And yeah, totally.
Yeah, Headliners is a classic spot. Yeah.
But definitely, I mean, it's funny because like when I came out, it was like, he's Hasidic and it's reggae music, and that was like to classify it because it's like two things that were sort of hard to wrap your head around. And it's no doubt my first studio album, Shake Off the Dust, like we went out to make a roots reggae album, So between that and Live at Stubbs, I guess, and then Youth with Bill Laswell producing, the first few records were pretty heavily reggae. After that, since then, I constantly like getting either critique or just like mention of how it's different, and the album has become, the reggae is like always a huge part of my influence, and it's infused, but it's definitely gone very, very far away from traditional reggae or even dancehall reggae. Even though I might, spit with dancehall kind of flavor, but I'll do even like Live at Stubbs is like ripping guitar solos and rock moments and beatboxing, and it's like a real mix. But
right.
So, but yeah, I find myself in the reggae circuit for sure.
I would say I just like music. I like good music, and however you want to classify it, alternative, reggae, whatever. It's good. How's that?
Yeah. Dude, that's how I feel about music too, especially now. Like the genres have really blended, and it's harder to classy music.
I mean,
when you have country artists rapping, it's
what do you rap?
And what I find interesting is like heavy metal and rap had been doing that for forever, but then country does it, and it's like everybody's like, oh well, look at all this blending of genres. Like it's kind of been happening in a lot of other places for a while.
Yeah, well, I guess it started even at the very onset of hip hop with like Run DMC and all of that. Aerosmith, right? It was kind of like a staple from the beginning, almost like that. These are both two kind of alternative styles of music. Whereas country is sort of maybe a little bit more of a staple, I don't know.
True. Yeah.
Something else. But it's definitely touched. It's not pure. L'chaim.
L'chaim. I am almost, looks like I am ready.
Okay.
Did not screw it up, I don't think. There we go. All right, we are tasting the loyalty now, and that is the blend of Robusta and Arabica.
It's sweeter, I think, right? Or is that my brewing?
Oh, definitely. Like on the fruit side, like it tastes like it's got like this papaya note in there for me.
Yeah, totally.
But it's still breakfast to me. Like this is like, now the pancake has been upgraded to pecans and maple syrup, Or walnuts and maple syrup over on a pancake.
Yeah, totally.
I know. I have quite a few friends who are Hasidic, and one of the challenges they have is like they bring their own food. When you're on tour, do you bring your own food, or do you have a pretty good staple of like restaurants and grocery stores you can go to when you're on the road?
Well, it's changed for me over the years. I've had different situations, and originally it was a thing, you know. The downside of that, you know, I wasn't able to really taste the foods of all these different cultures and places that I do. If you think about it, like in a town or a city, in a restaurant, you know, there might be like 5 or 6 staple restaurants or something. I couldn't eat at those places, and I couldn't eat even necessarily the food of the culture. Not to mention that I couldn't even, if the whole band is going out to eat, you know, you're stuck in a hotel room eating some like cold matzo ball soup that a rabbi brought by for you or something. So I did get the opportunity to meet a lot of Jewish and Hasidic families in all of these places and eat their home cooking. So that was great. But it did.
That's a win.
That was a win. But it did sort of impede like some elements, some things, you know, socially and important things like eating together with the band. I found is like super important, you know. It's not just about like getting on stage and making music together, but you have to have these kind of experiences. So at some point I decided to become vegan, and we were playing a festival actually sort of not too far from Louisville, Wakarusa it was.
Okay.
I don't exactly where that was, but they had been instructed that I was vegan, and so they had the chef cook up a vegan meal for me and the entire crew. And vegan, by the way, is like always going to be kosher, because you're not dealing with mixing meat and cheese. You're not dealing with kosher meat slaughter or any of those things. So basically there's nothing that could be unkosher. So I was kosher vegan. We had this meal. It was incredible. It was the first night of our tour and the last night of the festival. So I had this kid, Jack, come on tour with us, and he became the vegan chef. And that was special a few years, you know, waking up to juices and smoothies, and after shows having these like vegan sandwiches specially made.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was cool. And now, to be honest with you, I pretty much eat everything. I had like a moment where I was macrobiotic and only ate like brown rice and root vegetables. And it's all kind of like it's all had an impact on me to where I am today. The food, and I guess as a metaphor for a lot of things, but you know, I appreciate more than anything like a good like bagel with whitefish with the onion and the capers, or like all of the Jewish foods that I was around a lot. I love and introduce those to my kids. But then I also appreciate all the healthy foods and the vegan and the macro and all that. I can have a miso soup for breakfast, no problem. And then at the same time, I can go out and have pancakes and you know, and whatever. You know, I appreciate it all.
Well, it sounds like you've been you've studied various types of foods as much as you have music. I mean, that's quite a journey there from hotel room rabbi food to to Jack, the vegan chef.
Jack the vegan chef, to like yeah.
That's awesome, though. I always love good tour stories, because like that's the so many crazy things happen on tour, like people losing instruments and having to borrow somebody's, you know, what's.
Oh, yeah. I was recently talking to our first drummer, Jonah, an awesome guy, because I was like in the street and someone ran into me and they were like, you know, I was at the show. It was incredible. And the show that they were at was in like 2003 maybe, while I was still in yeshiva. And I would, if I had a gig or something, we would like schlep the PA system on the subway. I'd like round up a couple of guys, and we would go do it. So we did a show in the youth center in Crown Heights for like maybe 25 to 30 like teenage boys, you know, and it was just like totally wild. big bottles of vodka all over the, it's like, that's the Russian, style of Hasidim is the drinking is a part of it for sure. And in the middle of the set, the drummer just like let out a shriek. And he's like a pretty tough guy. Like he's like, into karate and horror movies, and he's like screaming at the top of his lungs. We all turn around, and there's a huge infestation of maggots that has come through a hole in the ceiling, and he's covered by like hundreds and hundreds of maggots that are pouring through the ceiling.
Oh my God.
Pretty wild.
That is, like, I mean, I just have this like vision. That's awful.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
No one had there were literally 30 people at that show, so no one has ever stopped me and said that.
Wow. Well, if that would have been Slipknot, that probably would have been a thing of honor, because they call their fans maggots. So. Oh
yeah. You go. Can you imagine?
All right. So, what was your thoughts between the two coffees? Is the Moxy the winner for you as your favorite, or did loyalty come through?
It's pretty close, but Moxy is the one for me, for sure. But I'll definitely enjoy this loyalty as well.
Well, the good news is, you can taste and change your mind later, right? That's the beauty of tasting.
How about for you? Do you prefer one?
I think I'm right with you. I love the Moxy. Like, the Moxy was where it's at. That was definitely my favorite. And if I recall, when I tasted this with her, I tasted several cups of coffee with her, and I think this was my favorite then too. It's delicious.
Were you jacked when you left the interview?
No, not at all. No, I was.
It was a good quality coffee.
Yeah, I mean, this coffee doesn't. I don't know. I don't know if it has like its caffeine levels match my blood system or something, but it feels right when I drink her coffee.
Yeah. I was listening to something on YouTube where she says like it's like she was making 12 ounces and she was doing 7 cups of coffee, and she was saying that was the equivalent of 2 double shots of espresso. So I think it's less caffeine than an espresso for sure.
Definitely. And what we had here was well within our rights. In it's 4:00 where I'm at, or about 4:00, and I think you're a little bit behind time on that. You're on Pacific time.
I'm with you.
You're on East Coast. Oh, okay. So this is a good afternoon cup of coffee. We won't be up too late with this. Hopefully, I don't think so anyway.
Actually, coffee doesn't keep me up. Somewhere along the line, I had a guy that worked for me, and every night when I would like about to go to sleep, I would smell coffee, and the whole tour bus was like the aroma of coffee. I'm like, who's having a coffee? And Tony, he said, you never heard of a nighttime coffee? And I was like, it doesn't keep you up? He's like, no, you got to try it. So I started drinking before I go to bed. I have a coffee.
Nice.
Yeah, I have a nighttime.
My mother-in-law has a nighttime coffee. I will sometimes, but it doesn't keep me up. But it's just not in my routine.
I hear you.
Maybe that changes. Well, my friend, thank you so much for coming on. Everyone, make sure you're checking out the new album, Matisyahu. Cheers, my friend. Really Cheers. Great hanging out with you.
Absolutely. Take care, my man.
Be safe out there.